This is Jeb Blunt, and it's Money Monday on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Say make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound.
All right. It is Monday. Time to get energized, focused, and fired up, because when you start your week strong, you end your week strong. And today we're focusing on something I witnessed firsthand this weekend that has everything to do with your success in sales and in life. On Sunday, Scottie Scheffler won the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina, putting an exclamation point on why he's the number one golfer in the entire world. Now, looking at the scoreboard, his 5-stroke victory seemed like total domination. But let me tell you something. I was there on the ground, and what I saw wasn't domination. It was something far more valuable for you as a sales professional. What I witnessed was a masterclass in mental resilience. And I'm going to break down exactly how Scheffler's approach to adversity can transform your sales results. Quail Hollow is a beautiful golf course, as close to Augusta National quality as any course I've ever seen. But make no mistake, that course had teeth. It chewed up and spit out many of the world's best golfers without an ounce of remorse. Just ask Bryson DeChambeau, who on Saturday watched his lead evaporate on the Green Mile, the brutal final 3 holes of the course, or Jon Rahm, who briefly held the lead on Sunday before plummeting to 8th place after getting absolutely bitten by those same closing holes. Now, if you just looked at Scheffler's final score, you'd think that he cruised through effortlessly. But that's not even close to what happened. It was a grind. Every single hole, every single shot. Scheffler came into Sunday with a 5-stroke cushion, but by the front 9, he had completely lost that lead. Now let that sink in for a second. The world's best golfer, playing his best golf all season, watched his commanding lead completely vanish. Now, for most players, that would have been it. Game over. The spiral begins. The tournament slips away. But not for Scottie Scheffler. There's one key statistic from the tournament that explains everything, and it's a metric that should become your new obsession as a sales professional. It's called bounce back percentage. The bounce back percentage measures how often a player makes a birdie or better immediately following a bogey or worse. In other words, how often do you recover from failure and immediately create success? For the entire field at Quail Hollow, the average bounce back percentage was 17.4%. Okay, let that sink in for a minute. The average for the entire field over the tournament was 17.4%. For Scottie Scheffler, it was an astonishing 62.5%. Think about what this means. When the average player faced adversity, they bounced back less than 1 time in 5. But Scheffler, he transformed failure into immediate success more than 3 out of every 5 times. That is massive mental resilience. And it's the difference between holding a trophy or watching someone else hold it. It's the difference between being number 1 in the world and being just another talented pro. And it's absolutely the difference between sales mediocrity and sales excellence. So why am I talking about golf statistics on a sales podcast? Well, because the bounce back percentage is the perfect analogy for what makes or breaks a sales career. Look, I've got some news for you. Bad stuff is going to happen in your sales career. You are going to fail. You are going to lose. You are going to face adversity. That is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. You're going to have situations where everything seemed perfect, and then the deal falls apart. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's not. Maybe the champion of your deal suddenly gets fired or leaves the company, or maybe a competitor swoops in at the last minute with a ridiculous offer, or perhaps your prospect ghosts you after 6 months of work and you have no idea what happened. And every day when you're prospecting, you're going to run into situations where someone cusses you out or slams the phone in your ear, and then you've got to immediately turn around and make the next call. You're going to have days where nothing goes right and everyone says no. But here's the deal. Your ability to bounce back in these situations doesn't just influence your success, it defines who you are as a sales professional, and it is the key to winning. When I'm hiring salespeople, one of the things I'm measuring for is optimism. It's essentially Ted Lasso's Goldfish theory, the ability to forget fast. In the show, Lasso asked his players, "You know what the happiest animal on earth is?" It's a goldfish. You know why? It's got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. The goldfish theory is about letting go of mistakes, setbacks, or negative moments quickly, just like a goldfish forgets almost instantly. If something bad happens to a pessimistic person, rather than forgetting, they start to believe that something bad is going to happen again. Their mind starts spinning a story. This always happens to me. I knew this wouldn't work out. Nobody wants to talk to me today. What you think is often what you become. When you dwell on negative outcomes, you invite more of them into your life. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that crushes your results. But optimistic people, they're goldfish. They forget fast. They get a no and immediately think, great, my next yes must be right around the corner. You see, that's the definition of optimism in sales, the unshakable belief that success is just one more attempt away. And competitiveness is equally crucial. This, by the way, defines Scottie Scheffler. When competitors get knocked down, they don't stay down. They get back up. And when they do, they're not defeated, they're fired up. They use that emotion, that drive to propel themselves to win the next time. I see too many salespeople these days start a downward spiral after a single setback. And it's no different than what happens to amateur golfers on the course. You have one bad shot, which leads to another bad shot, which leads to a bad decision, which leads to another bad shot. And pretty soon, you're ready to throw your clubs in a pond and call it a day. That type of spiral in sales will kill your career and your income faster than any market downturn or tough competitor ever could. So the question is, how do you build this mental resilience? How do you develop this bounce back muscle? I've got several strategies that have worked for me and for the top performing sales professionals I've coached. The first key is having a specific bounce back routine, which is a set of actions you take immediately after facing rejection, a loss, or adversity. For me, my sales bounce back routine is a little bit different from my golf bounce back routine. In sales, when something knocks me back, I often step away briefly and read a passage from a book I keep nearby. I deliberately put something positive into my mind to redirect my thinking. Sometimes it's listening to a specific podcast or an audio clip that I know will shift my mindset. The key is that I don't leave my mental recovery to chance. I have a deliberate planned response to adversity that I've practiced so many times that it becomes automatic. So the question is, what's your bounce back routine? If you don't have one, create one today. Maybe it's taking 3 deep breaths, saying a specific affirmation, or reviewing your biggest sales wins. Whatever it is, make it concrete and practice it until it becomes second nature. The second strategy is staying in the present. One of the biggest killers of bounce back ability is letting your mind drift away from the present moment. When something goes wrong, most people immediately do one of two things. They dwell on the past or they worry about the future. Dwelling on the past is pointless. You can't change what's already happened. Getting caught up in replaying the failure, the rejection, and the mistake only ensures that you bring that negative energy into your next interaction. Equally dangerous is projecting into the future, worrying about what might happen. What if I never close another deal this month? What if my pipeline dries up? What if I miss quota again? You see, the only thing that's real is the present moment. The only thing you can control is your next action. When I'm on a golf course, the way that I bounce back after hitting a bad shot is to remind myself to stay present. This shot, this moment. And then I refocus and execute. The same principle applies perfectly to sales. After a tough call or a tough loss, instead of ruminating, reset. Focus only on the next call, the next conversation, or the next opportunity. Because nothing else matters except for the present, because the present is the only thing that you have control over. My third strategy for beefing up your bounce back muscle is to build obstacle immunity through exposure. Now, this is counterintuitive for many people, but the more adversity you face, the better you get at handling it. Top performers don't avoid difficult situations. They seek them out, knowing that each challenge strengthens their bounce back muscle. Think of it like weight training. The resistance isn't your enemy. It is the very thing that makes you stronger. Make more prospecting calls than required. Put yourself out there. Have tough conversations others avoid. Pursue the challenging deals others shy away from. Each time you face resistance and push through, you're building your bounce back capability. The salespeople who avoid discomfort to protect their egos are the same ones who crumble when inevitable challenges arise. They haven't built their obstacle immunity. Scottie Scheffler isn't a winner because he's never faced adversity. He's won because he's faced so much adversity that he knows how to bounce back. My fourth and final strategy for beefing up your bounce back muscle is to master your self-talk. Look, you're talking to yourself all day long. The question is, what are you saying? Are you telling yourself you're going to win or that you're going to lose? Are you feeding yourself excuses or solutions? Are you reinforcing mental resilience, or are you allowing yourself to spin out of control? If you watch coverage of the PGA Championship, you saw plenty of players have emotional meltdowns after bad shots. Just go take a look at Shane Lowry's explosion. Now, that emotional outburst might have felt cathartic in the moment, but it didn't improve his performance. But notice that Scheffler doesn't have those explosions. He stays remarkably calm, even when things aren't going his way. He's mastered his self-talk. After a setback, he doesn't tell himself a story about how unfair it is or how he's losing his edge. He tells himself he has the ability to bounce back. He teaches his mind to believe it, and then he actualizes it. In your self-talk, it creates your reality in cells. So you need to monitor it ruthlessly and replace destructive narratives with empowering ones. Tell yourself that you're the kind of person who thrives under pressure and bounces back stronger after rejection or losses. I'm going to wrap up with my final thoughts on bounce back in just a moment, but first, a shout out to Barry Traylor for sharing the Sales Gravy podcast with his followers on LinkedIn, and to Florida Troublemaker for posting this 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. They write, "Great listen, and so many insights come from these podcasts. Highly recommended." Look, if you're getting value from our podcast, please do me a solid this week and share this episode with your followers on LinkedIn, and be sure to tag me. At the end of the day, Scottie Scheffler is the PGA champion and the #1 golfer in the world, not because he never faces adversity, but because he's mastered the art of bouncing back from it. He's a walking example of how to manage disruptive emotions, control your actions and reactions, maintain a winning mindset, and transform setbacks into comebacks. The sales profession, just like golf, will test your resilience every single day. There is no escaping the challenges, the rejection, the lost deals, and the unexpected obstacles. But like Scheffler, you can develop the mental toughness to not just survive those challenges, but to use them as fuel for your success. And your bounce back percentage, well, that might be the most important sales metric that you're not tracking. So start today. Build your mental resilience, build your bounce back muscle, and watch your results transform. And remember, in golf and sales, it's not just about avoiding rough patches. It's about how quickly and effectively you play your way out of them. So when it's the end of the day, when you've been facing rejection, when you've been kicked out of doors, when you've had the phone slammed in your face, when you've lost deals, when all you want to do is just get up, walk out, and not come back again, always make one more call. Because that one more call, that's how you build your bounce back muscle. This is Jeb Blunt, and I'll see you next time on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Survival of the fittest, you can sink or swim. I've been broke, I ain't never going back again. I need some C-notes, some cheddar, and a stack of ends. I need a bowl of dough, I don't need no Facebook friends. I need a pack of them snaps, a handful of Fetty Wops, and rubber band on my greenbacks. Look, dawg, don't be playing with my paper. I need every red cent, that's why I brought my little scraper. Money, 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 money. Take money, money, take money.